I'm in the car, guys. I just left set. But hi, my name is Kheris Rogers. I'm 14 years old. And up until a few years ago, I thought the hardest thing I'd have to deal with is making sure people pronounce my name correctly. I had no idea I would experience racism in such a profound way. It literally changed my life. After all, I didn't really know what racism was. It's not something that really happens, right? Isn't that something you read in a textbook or hear about on the news? Well, at least that's what my 10-year-old self thought. I would have never expected that one day the news would be about me. Who am I? I'm just the average girl who likes talking on the phone, hanging out with my friends, and being the annoying little sister I was created to be. Unfortunately, in the past 4 years, I've had to grow up quite a bit. I faced things that no adult should face, let alone a 14-year-old kid. Like being told I'm too dark to be that pretty or that I'm pretty for a dark-skinned girl. Or some messages so blatant that they have the potential to strip you of all your dignity and self-esteem. Like being asked to draw a picture of yourself, which seems innocent enough, but imagine being provided with a black crayon to do so. Since beginning this movement in 2017, I've learned a lot about colorism. I think the 3 most important things I've learned are education, inclusion, and self-love. I learned it had a name, colorism, which meant that it wasn't unheard of. Colorism is a practice of discrimination where a preference is given to individuals with lighter or fairer skin tones than those with darker skin tones. It's not regulated to any one industry or service. It can be seen from the playground to corporate America. In 2016, the University of Georgia did a study where they found employees preferred lighter skinned Black men to darker skinned Black men, even though they may have been more qualified. I learned I wasn't alone. Millions of Americans suffer the effect of colorism in various ways. Seating in restaurants, unequal pay, even court sentences. However, colorism can also be found in many cultures as well. I learned Can you guys hear me?
We can now, but we did lose you for a minute.
Okay. The death of George Floyd, a Black man in Minnesota, set off a wave of racial protests across the country, bringing awareness to an issue deeply rooted in American history. Police brutality is systemic racism as it relates to Black people and law enforcement. While there have been many deaths by law enforcement officers over the past years, the particular murder captured on film for all the world to see seems to have been the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. It was so blatant and callous that the issue of racism in law enforcement could no longer be ignored. Not by Black people, because we have always been aware of the existence, but by white people who never wanted to believe it was true. This event and my experiences with colorism and discrimination brings all of my lessons to bear. When this all began, I couldn't help but think of that 10-year-old little girl should not about unfair hiring practices or discriminatory sentencing, but was forced to learn and understand by a society that seemed to care more about the color of her skin than ensuring she was afforded the same opportunities as any other child her age. I thought about the little girl who for years had been demeaned because she was darker than her peers. I couldn't help but wonder if the people who have participated in those demeaning behaviors have learned the things I've had to learn in those short 4 years. What a difference it would have made in my experiences and the experience of people who look like me. If they took the time to educate themselves about other people, not just Black people, learn their history about their culture. If they would practice inclusion and exclusion, then they could be exposed to cultures and the people they've been around. What if we taught those things in school? Maybe children would be more understanding and tolerant. Maybe those children will grow up to be more understanding and tolerant adults. I could see the education changing the world. Couldn't you? Home has always been a sanctuary, a place where I know I'm loved, a place I could escape the horrors and waited to outside my door. I was fortunate to be able to go home and find comfort. However, I recognize there are many children who are not able to go home and escape their trauma. I've learned that for some people, begins at home and the school is their escape. That is why it is important for educators and school officials to be educated on the signs of depression, abuse, and neglect. Not only so that they can recognize it when they see it, but to recognize when they are playing an active role in it. I've learned that unconscious bias often causes people to participate in trauma without realizing it. For example, the teacher who doesn't allow the student who was a little unkept to pass out papers to take something to the office. Everyone needs a place where they feel like they belong. Everyone wants to feel included, no matter their situation or circumstances. Even the homeless form communities because people want a sense of belonging. Inclusion gives people a reason to continue to exist. Lastly, I discovered self-love. I've learned to love myself just the way I am. I'm not Coke bottle or light bright like Meghan Markle, and that's okay. Now, I love my beautiful Black skin, my thick, luscious hair, even my skinny legs. All of it makes me uniquely me. I won't lie, it has definitely been a journey. I didn't always like me because other people didn't like me. But I've learned that those who don't like me don't matter, and those that matter like me just the way I am. I've learned that if I love who I am, other people will love me too. It sounded so simple. It wasn't quite that simple. Only because I had experienced so many negative things that I wasn't sure how to love myself. I sought the help of a therapist who helped me see what people said about me was their issue, not mine. I began to tell myself I was beautiful. I started taking more pictures and recorded videos, things I would have never do before because I wasn't pretty enough. I never signed up to be an activist or a spokesperson for racism or colorism, but now I want the world to know I am more than the color of my skin. I can do or be anything I want to be to live their wildest dreams. I want to educate people who may not be aware of the effects of the behavior on other people. I want to turn this negative onto a positive and build a community with the bricks that people threw at me. The road of home to school and beyond is often winding and full of many scary and exciting things. But there is a Chinese proverb that says, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So let's get started. Thank you guys so much. My name is Kheris Rogers, and I am the CEO of Flexin and My Complexion.